Hello, welcome. My name is Mark Scholman. Today we're going to talk about Azure Stack POC. I'm with Charles Joy. Charles, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Charles Joy. I'm a principal program manager on the Azure Stack team and responsible for the customer experience and the OneNode proof of concept environment.
Okay, cool. So Charles, can you tell me a bit more about what is Azure Stack POC?
So Azure Stack POC is a quick and easy way to onboard to Azure Stack and Azure for that matter. So you have minimum requirements to get started, and it's the same software as you would get for when we have multi-node. So you'll be exercising the same APIs as the production Azure Stack as well as production Azure. So I mean, there's some key things with it. It's a minimal stamp. It's easy to set up, and it gives you a production analog just at a much smaller scale. Okay. I mean, that's the quick and easy answer there.
So if I want to kick the tires, how do I get started with POC?
So TP1, or I'm sorry, I say TP all the time. It's Technical Preview 1 has been available since January 2016. We made Technical Preview 2 available at Ignite in 2016. And now we're in a technical preview phase, moving towards GA. So when we say technical preview, it's available for download. So you can go to azure.com, you can find Azure Stack, and there's a try it now button. Okay. And there's a prereq checker, there's a whole bunch of tools to help you get started. And of course we outline the hardware requirements. And to briefly state them, minimally, if you just want to maybe spin up and kick the tires, 96 gig of RAM and 4 or 5 disks, and I think 12 core is the minimum. And then you could add as much to that as you want. That means you can make it do a whole bunch of cool stuff. But you download the software, you install it on that hardware, and essentially 3-ish hours later, you have a private cloud or a cloud that's sitting next to you, essentially.
Cool. So, what is the future of this POC thingy? What will I be able to, after GA, use a POC environment?
Yeah, I mean, we've had it available since Technical Preview 1. It's here in Technical Preview 2. It's so important. It'll be here at GA and post GA. We consider it a development platform because we need some people to easily onboard and get the concepts around having a Azure Stack or Azure in your data center actually next to them, or in a small rack that's in their lab or something like that. So yes, the future of this is it'll be there, and we're looking for increased use cases as we move on. So right now we're thinking that primary use case is demonstrations or something like that. But to get people on board with, hey, this is a cool thing, and it's in our data center kind of thing. Yeah. But in the future, we want to be more of a developer platform where people want to be in production in Azure or a production in Azure Stack, and they can do quick dev tests and spin up an Azure Stack proof of concept environment, test out their templates or test out the APIs that are in there, and then move along.
Oh, that's cool. So once if we take the use case for an IT pro or developer, can we connect in other ways than just with RDP and hopping through and installing our dev tools on the console?
Right, console VM. So on? So obviously in our early stages, we needed a safe place in the environment to do stuff that wasn't the host, that was on the network space and stuff like that. So we had the client VM in TP1, and in TP2 we have the console VM. Yeah. And that is currently there, and it's currently a safe place to install the tools and interact with the system. In TP1 though, we did start with having an ability to VPN into the stack. So there's some networking VMs there that you could interact with, configure. So you can spin up a VPN client on your laptop and then VPN in, and then you have access to the APIs from your laptop, meaning you could have Visual Studio and PowerShell running from your laptop, and it's interacting with the Azure Stack just like you'd interact with Azure. Now, we have that same concept in TP2. We have scripts for that, and we've made some documentation available and even some tools on the Azure Stack tools repo. Okay. Now, to take that one step further, we're working on ways to integrate the POC maybe during deployment time into a portion of the network. So it's more easily routable. It's not a VPN connection. Like you don't have to spin up a VPN connection on your app server that's on the network and then connect to it and hopefully it works, right?
Yeah.
It's more of a, this is connected, like it's taking up a little bit of address space in your world, and it now can be routed to and do that stuff.
That would be really awesome.
We're working on that. I know there's been some early trials of that, and it looks pretty successful. And of course, folks like you will come up with other ways, and we encourage all that experimentation.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that we have the best options for our customers, but there will be options moving forward to more integrate it more to your network and integrate it more to your solutions, because that's what essentially it's there for. But keep in mind, the POC does expire, so yes, you're sort of, with that approach, you're encroaching on the network space. So yes, when that expires, you're going to have to redeploy it. So you got to keep that stuff in mind. It's not a permanent solution; it's a trial solution. So those are just things to keep in mind. Yeah, proof of concept. Yeah.
Okay, so once I've installed or trying to install Azure Stack, Murphy might be around. How do I get started in troubleshooting a field installation?
Sure. So for the proof of concept environment, it's community supported. For the most part, from folks like you and other experts in the field, and your team, for that matter. Yeah. But we do have some documentation, but there's no way we could capture all the things that could possibly go wrong, especially in technical previews.
Yep.
So we do have a known issues page. So if you go to the Azure Stack docs, on the left-hand nav, you'll see troubleshooting. And under troubleshooting, you'll see a troubleshooting page, which has a list of known issues for that particular build or for the builds that are available for customers. And in there, we'll say, you'll notice this, or when you deploy, you might see this error, sort of thing. So not everybody's reading that, and I like to people, because that will probably always be there, because they'll always be in some iterative process. Because if POC is there after GA, it doesn't mean that it's just going to be GA code and never going to change, right?
Nope,
we're continually trying to improve it, right? So there are going to be things, especially in the proof of concept environment, that may be not stable. So there'll be things that we have to have known issues on. So there'll be known issues things. There's a forum. So Azure Stack Forum that we'd like customers to go to, and MVPs and experts in the field to go help with and help answer customers' questions. And then there's the user voice, where people can suggest new things. And then of course there's Twitter. I've gotten plenty of, hey, can you go and solve this problem? And then I have to go solve it because it's on Twitter. So
you touched briefly update, you have to redeploy, but what will be the update cadence for the Azure Stack?
Right, so we have an intent to update it much more frequently than we have. Our update cadence to date has been, as you know, January, then we did a minor release sometime after that, and then TP2, right?
Yeah.
And right now, it is kind of, it's slow currently, but in the future, and maybe when you see this video, we'll have a faster cadence. And I can't say what it will be. I don't think it'll be any faster than a month, because that would be very difficult, and people don't want that kind of churn anyway. Plus, we have to put value into it. If you're going to redeploy and take the time to do that, not that it's a huge amount of time, you want to know that there's something on the other end of value, right?
Yeah.
So whatever we're going to be, I think, as we structure it, scenario-based. Like if we bring a new scenario on, we can have a new deployment for that. But also, if there's a whole bunch of bugs we need to fix, or we'll get something out like that. So we'll see a faster cadence, and hopefully, I mean, I don't want to be quoted on the timing of that, but it'll be faster than you've seen, and hopefully bring more value faster over time.
Okay, that's really cool. We also were discussing for the hardware requirements. They're pretty big, and what we are actually building at the moment is an Azure Stack Lab as a service.
Sure.
So what we're trying to achieve is we'll have a portal, and people can request for a couple of days or a couple of weeks an Azure Stack environment, and they will get actually a physical host assigned to their account, which they also can kickstart the Azure Stack deployment. So once we have the first release finished, then I will update you, I'll ask you to test it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's basically my job now, is testing out deployments and testing out builds. So I'll be happy to have different hardware to test that on. And, and that's to bolt on that for us, for validation and for customers validation. Yes, we want to have customers get value out of the APIs and stuff like that. But because we're in technical preview, especially at this time frame, and we'll always be in some iteration of latest, right, as opposed to stable, we want a validation set that is on a breadth of different hardware. So I have obviously labs that I have a whole bunch of stuff on. I've seen on Twitter me deploying 4 at one time, yeah, but those are probably 4 of the same kind of machines, right? Yeah. I need a breadth of hardware, and we need that from customers. And that's the thing, when you're bringing Azure to someone's data center, that's one of the, and I know you didn't prompt this question, but one of the reasons we're doing integrated systems is so we can understand what the landscape looks like for that. Yeah. And that's handled in the multi-node stuff. But for one single node, it's kind of much more wild, wild west. You get some cobble some
the cowboys on the road, you know?
You cobble some hardware together that meets the specifications. Yeah. And I don't know if that's going to work better or worse than what my lab is, right? So with one node specifically, it's great to have a breadth of hardware so we could test on to make sure the deployment code works, to make sure that everything will work end to end. So I welcome the chance to test on what you have.
Very cool. Okay, Charles, I would like to thank you very much for your time to spend here with me, and thank you all for watching, and see you next time.
Thanks. Thanks, Mark.